The enormous glass roof of Grand Central railway station glowed in the afternoon sunlight as thousands of travelers hurried between platforms. Among them walked Daniel Carter, a 50-year-old single father with short light brown hair streaked with gray, a neatly trimmed beard and piercing blue eyes. He wore the same dark blue denim overshirt over a gray t-shirt and dark jeans seen in the thumbnail. 20 years earlier, Daniel had lost his wife, Emily Carter, in a devastating train explosion overseas. Authorities never recovered her body. After years of searching, she was officially declared dead. Since then, Daniel had raised their little son alone. Every birthday, every Christmas, every school graduation, he had whispered Emily's name, wishing she could somehow come back. Now, after 2 decades, Daniel had come to the station only to meet a business client. He checked the arrivals board. Then, someone whispered behind him, "Daniel." The voice was soft, familiar, impossible. He slowly turned around. Standing only a few yards away was Emily Carter. Exactly as she appeared in the thumbnail, long chestnut brown hair, emerald green eyes, wearing the same cream trench coat over a beige outfit, a brown leather handbag hanging from her shoulder. Her hand covered her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. She pointed at him, unable to believe what she was seeing. Daniel's heartbeat stopped. "It can't be!" Before he could move, a beautiful young woman stepped beside Emily. She looked about 20 years old. She had Emily's smile, but Daniel froze when he saw her eyes. They were his. The exact same deep blue eyes. The glass coffee cup slipped from Daniel's hand and shattered across the station floor. Every traveler nearby turned toward the sound. Neither Daniel nor Emily noticed. For 20 years, they had believed this moment would never happen. The station became strangely quiet. Daniel and Emily stood frozen, staring at each other as though 20 years had disappeared in a single heartbeat. Finally, Daniel whispered, "Emily." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I thought I'd never hear you say my name again." Daniel slowly walked toward her. His hands trembled. When he stood only inches away, he reached out carefully and touched her face. She was real, not a dream, not a memory. His voice broke. "I buried you. I stood beside your memorial every year. I spent 20 years believing I'd lost you forever." Emily couldn't stop crying. So did I. Before Daniel could ask another question, the young woman beside Emily spoke softly. "Mom, who is he?" Emily turned toward her. Her lips trembled. "There isn't another way to say this anymore." She gently took the young woman's hand. "This is your father." The young woman's eyes widened. "My father?" Daniel looked into those familiar blue eyes, the same eyes he saw in the mirror every morning. His voice almost disappeared. "What's your name?" She smiled nervously. "My name is Grace." Daniel's knees nearly gave way. 20 years. 20 years without knowing she existed, he whispered. "I've imagined this moment every single day." Grace looked at Emily. "You always told me my father died protecting us." Emily closed her eyes. "I lied. Because I was ordered to." Daniel looked confused. Emily took a deep breath. "The train explosion wasn't an accident. I witnessed members of an international crime syndicate murdering a government witness. The authorities placed me into a top-secret witness protection program. They told the world I had died because it was the only way to keep our unborn daughter alive." Daniel stood speechless. Every year of grief, every lonely night, every unanswered question had been built on one terrible secret. Grace slowly stepped toward him. Her eyes filled with tears. "So, you've been searching for us all these years?" Daniel nodded. "Every single day." Grace could no longer hold back. She ran forward and wrapped her arms around him. For the very first time, a father embraced the daughter he had never known. Nearby travelers stopped walking. Many quietly wiped away tears as they witnessed a family finding each other after 20 unimaginable years. Daniel held Grace tightly, unable to believe that after 20 years, he was finally embracing his own daughter. Tears streamed down his face. "I missed your first smile. Your first steps. Every birthday." Grace held him even tighter. "You didn't leave me. You were taken from me." Emily quietly wiped away her tears. For 20 years, I prayed this day would come. Before anyone could speak again, a black SUV stopped outside the station. 3 men in dark suits stepped inside. Emily's face instantly turned pale. No, they found us. Daniel noticed the fear in her eyes. Who are they? Emily whispered. The men I've been hiding from for 20 years. At the far end of the station, one of the strangers pointed directly toward Emily. There she is. Without warning, people began moving aside as the 3 men walked quickly through the crowded terminal. Grace gripped Daniel's arm. Dad! I'm scared. Daniel immediately stepped in front of Emily and Grace. For the first time, he wasn't protecting strangers. He was protecting his family. Just then, 2 plainclothes federal agents appeared from the crowd. Federal Protection Service! The station erupted into chaos. Travelers screamed and ran toward the exits. The suspects pulled out concealed weapons. Daniel grabbed Grace's hand while shielding Emily behind him. A loud command echoed across the station. Nobody move! One suspect attempted to flee toward the platform. Federal agents chased him as passengers scattered in every direction. Within minutes, the station was surrounded by law enforcement. The suspects were arrested before they could reach Emily. A senior federal agent approached Daniel. Mr. Carter, the danger isn't over. The organization that destroyed your family 20 years ago knows you're together again. Daniel looked at Emily, then at Grace. He gently held both of their hands. I spent 20 years searching for my family. I'm not losing them a second time. The railway station echoed with sirens. Federal agents surrounded the 3 armed men within seconds. One suspect tried to run toward the departing train. He had barely reached the platform when officers tackled him to the ground. The leader of the group looked at Emily and smiled coldly. It took us 20 years to find you. You should have stayed dead. Before he could move again, agents placed him in handcuffs. It's over, the lead investigator said. It finally ends today. Emily collapsed into Daniel's arms, overwhelmed by relief. For the first time in 20 years, she wasn't running anymore. A few weeks later, the investigation uncovered the entire criminal network responsible for the train explosion that had torn Daniel's family apart. Dozens of criminals were arrested. Missing victims finally received justice. The government officially cleared Emily's identity and ended her witness protection. One quiet Sunday morning, Daniel returned home. The house that had once felt empty was now filled with laughter. His son met Grace for the first time. Within minutes, they were laughing like they had known each other forever. Emily stood in the kitchen watching her family together. Tears filled her eyes. Daniel walked over and gently took her hand. We lost 20 years, but we still have the rest of our lives. Emily smiled. And this time, no more secrets. That evening, the 4 of them stood on the porch watching the sunset. Grace slipped her arm around her father. I spent my whole life wondering what it felt like to have a dad. Daniel smiled through tears. And I spent 20 years wondering if I'd ever see my family again. Neither of them had imagined that the impossible reunion at a crowded railway station would become the beginning of a brand new life. Sometimes miracles don't arrive when we stop believing. They arrive when we've waited the longest. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotional stories filled with hope, family, and unforgettable twists.